Rocking and rolling. And I love this day because this is trending Thursday. And there's so many good things that are trending. There's so many awakening things that are trending. But good morning, everyone. This is Carol, so AKA Naughty Boss, live from finally a nice, bright, sunshiny New England weather with two
Sisters. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. Excuse me, trending Thursday. So there's so much I could say about trending Thursday, and all I will say in reference to air quotes politics is, and I think this is genius, quite frankly. And let's see if anyone can figure it out. And if you can figure it out, send me a message and I'll have something special for you. And all I'm going to say are 3 words: stinking, blinking, and fraud. That's it.
I got some guesses on that. And I'm not going to say them because I don't want to give what I'm thinking it is. I want one of our audience or listeners, and you can either text that to Jan or text that to me at 508-579-6319. Jan, tell them your cell if you want to.
Yeah, 386-717-0914. And let me know that you heard this on the Two Sisters podcast. That way I won't, because if I don't see something that I know is authentic, I just delete it. So let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things that's trending and annoying. Is, it's so funny. We talk about, living in a digital age world, how do you kind of tune out social media, tune out alerts, turn out your phone? And a lot of people, and I would say, I really don't, it would be interesting to find out what the percentage is, but a lot of people don't have landlines anymore. They're almost like they're like obsolete. Everyone, carries a phone on them for the most part. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. There are a lot of men that conveniently leave their phone at home, or, the battery dies or whatever. But I'm sure a lot of women can relate to that. I don't see a lot of women doing that, but I think that's mostly a man trait for whatever reason. But we have a cell phone on us like 24/7, really, whether it's charging, it's by your side, whether obviously you're traveling, whether you're engaging, going out to dinner, everyone has their cell phone on them. And so landlines have really been obsolete. So think about that. If they're obsolete, how do, anyone that's trying to sell something, anyone that's trying to take a poll, because that's like the new thing, everything's a poll, how do people get a hold of you? Even the snail mail, marketing materials for selling something, while they still exist, because I get tons of junk mail, I don't get as much anymore because it's kind of like obsolete now. So what do? They're very creative now. Instead of, because with cell phones, the cell phone programs that are within them now can detect whether something's spam or not. So sometimes you'll get a phone call that comes up and it'll say spam likely. You don't pick it up, and then you I never pick them up. But what I do is call them back. And 100% of the time, I'm sorry, this phone is no longer in service, or, can't be reached this way, or whatever. It's just tons of spam. So how creative are marketing and those that are trying to sell you something? Now they're texting. So you get tons of texts, and you're thinking, a lot of times they will disguise it. I mean, obviously there's usually like a 5-digit number to it. So you kind of know, that's probably spam. But I get a lot of alerts of people that I do business with that will send a text. I mean, your nails, your hair, for one, women know that. If you got packages coming, you'll get an alert. But now marketing firms and whatnot are very creative, and they text, but they will actually text with what looks like a number. And it probably is a number, a regular telephone number. And they're very creative. They know what area code you're in. They also know, depending on what your settings are on your phone, if you're traveling, and what area code you are in. And you will find that you get these text messages all the time. It's crazy.
Well, it absolutely is. And the thing is, with text messages, people are more apt to answer a quick text message than they are their email or any type of other means. Now, a lot of these companies, with the internet, all the, TV and whatnot, you buy a bundled type of product, and in that is included a landline. Well, technically, we still have the telephone number that Gary's had since he was a little boy, ever since the house was moved from Hartford Turnpike over to Malillo Circle. And we actually, thought about taking that off, but it actually would be more to take it off versus to still have it on.
That is true, because I did, I remember, gosh, it was I think about 2 or 3 years ago. And I'd asked that question because we never used our landline. And at that time, John had his business line. I said, there's no reason to have another land, like we never use it. So you're absolutely right. They take that service off, and you might get like $2 off. And you're like, really? My landline was only worth $2? Okay. So a lot of people don't even bother doing it. It's just one of those things. But the problem with now being over inundated that way is because there's one thing about tuning out social media. You could easily say, you know what, I'm not looking on any of my social media accounts. I'm not checking out email, but you will still look at your phone for text messages and phone calls. I don't care how you slice it. So how do we deprogram from that? I don't know that we can 100% do that, because it's a means of communication, not only for chatting with your friends or whatever, but for emergency purposes. So it is a hot piece. But what I tell people is keep your phone on, but you can mute your alerts for messaging. That way, at least you're not, if somebody really needs to get a hold of you and you haven't responded by a text, they're going to call you. They're going to always call you. So there are ways to set yourself up for success when you're trying to wind down from the day. Turn those alerts off. Make sure your alerts off on all your social media accounts. And, or some people will just put it on a very light vibe, so they can kind of hear the phone like vibrating. I wouldn't even do that. Just take them all off, and then just make sure that obviously, for emergency purposes, your phone, that the ringer's not way loud, but enough where you're going to hear it, because you do have to wind down, especially during that wind down phase, to get to that good night's sleep, because we all know a good night's sleep is imperative. It's probably one of the most important pieces to health and wellness, because that is when your body naturally repairs itself. So, I mean, speaking of repairing itself, we had an amazing Dr. Paul on yesterday. And it was funny. I kept trying to go to those points that he was talking about. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing something right. So I ordered his book, because, I love learning natural ways on healing instead of always resorting to, okay, Tylenol. When you get up to 4 Tylenol pills at one time, because you're trying to achieve Tylenol 800, and you're doing that more and more and more, you realize, okay, I don't want to be reaching for all these pills. There's got to be other ways that I can combat that pain naturally. And no, it may not happen overnight. But the point being is you are trying more effective ways that don't involve taking medication. So I absolutely love that.
Right. And, the thing too is taking a Tylenol or any type of medicine. And I just want to make a claim here. We are not trained medical doctors.
Yeah.
We have no knowledge or science or degrees. This is my personal opinion. So I just want to put that out there.
Both of our opinions.
Right.
And sadly, when you're on social media, you have to make all these disclaimers.
Right.
I think we need a textbook. Okay, disclaim this, disclaim that. Go ahead, Jan. Sorry, I thought that was funny.
No, that's okay. The point being that your kidneys have to filter a lot of stuff. And with my specific knowledge and background in not only massage therapy, but certified personal trainer and a health coach, I know a little bit, not a lot. Okay. Again, a disclaimer. It's just not good for you. So what if you were able to really take out the foundation of always being on medication and do it in a more natural way that's so much more beneficial to you versus, popping a Tylenol. It's just, ugh. I try to stay with, now I'm not ditching people who are on medications by, all means. You need to obviously listen to your physician and what they're saying. But what I'm trying to say is I'm one of those people that try to steer away from taking anything. So if I can do something that's more natural, it's going to benefit me in the end, I try going that route.
Right. And, I recently found out, which I always knew, and it's part of my, obviously, my nutritional regiment that I always do. I obviously, I go through periods of, digestion issues. Mine, happens to be more of an acid reflux. And, I learned so much about when you're having a flare up, the worst thing that you can do is lie down. You've got to lie on your left side. You've actually got to be in an upright position. But a great way, because I don't like even taking Pepto. I'll take it. I've actually found a couple other remedies when I'm really having an attack, but warm up some water in the microwave and add, you have the shakers of all your spices and whatnot, put some ginger in there and almost make like a ginger tea. So there's no tea to it. It's just the ginger, warm ginger. Really helps with that. So there are so many herbs and spices that we can do, because we always go back to, we're such health nuts and looking at different remedies and whatnot. I always think back to, the Indian days, or the days where they didn't have a pharmaceutical company, which is not a bad thing sometimes, right? And what did they do? I mean, they lived off the land. They obviously, I would bet that they didn't have the issues that we do today, because that, to me, a lot of that is environment and food quality and, what do you call it, hormones and things that they're injecting into our food. But they lived off the land. So they were taking herbs, and that's what they use. I mean, I'm sure they got a headache here or two, trying to, having a day trying to kill a buffalo. Those things happen. So what did they do? Even though they might not have had the medical, as deep as ours is, they used herbs. You could see them with a little wooden bowl and, the little, I don't know what they would call that, the little
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The musher.
the
Yeah, the gadget.
I don't know what you call it. There is a name for that.
Yeah.
I can't think of what it's called. So if anybody knows that name, please put it in the comments. I can't think of what it's called, but it's like usually got like a little, now of course they didn't have them as refined as ours do. They probably just took a stick and chopped the crap out of it, right? And they put it in their water. They heated up water over the fire. So they lived off the land. And I think there's so many people that are finding, because there's so much junk and chemicals and hormones and antibiotics, just all this stuff that's in our food, that people, when they say they're eating clean, they're eating regular food, people. And I think there's a misconception of eating clean. They just choose to eat things that are hormone free, that, going back to more of a rainbow color food plate, meaning vegetables, fruit. There's a lot of ways to get protein that is not meat, folks. Spinach, and what I love about spinach, a lot of people say, oh, spinach, I don't like spinach. Well, then don't eat it in a salad. You can eat it in a salad, or you can cook it up, saute it. You can, I actually will chop it up almost as fine as an oregano or a parsley. And you can add that with all your other spices, put it in meatloaf, put it in your mashed potato. I mean, there's so many ways to get protein other than just eating meat. Because we've chatted about this. You've been having a lot of meat issues. John's having a lot of meat issues. And again, even though we'll buy like grass-fed beef, sometimes the grass is treated. I mean, you would hope not, especially if there's cows on there, but you just don't know nowadays, because it's just so much pollution. There's so much chemicals in our world.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. And speaking of, fresh vegetables, the garden is coming in like boom, all of a sudden.
Well, how about tomatoes? Tomatoes in yet?
Not yet, not
Okay.
yet, like really soon with that. But I have to tell you, all last week we were eating yellow squash, zucchini, and I love those vegetables. But then it came like to Saturday and Gary said something about, oh, let's have some more zucchini. And I'm like, I can't look at zucchini. Like, so it's been like almost a week. I just can't.
Well, save some for me. Hopefully
I
we'll get
will.
together this weekend and I can get some zucchini. I love zucchini.
Oh, it was delicious. And the last time I cooked it, excuse me, I did it in the air fryer.
Oh, nice.
And it
I've
came
gotten
out,
that must have came out really, really tasty, I bet.
it was very tasty. And did you know you can pretty much air fry anything? GA was telling us that he air fried eggs, hard boiled eggs.
Wow, that's pretty cool. What I like to do is it's something that I do similar with eggplant, is I'll take a squash or whatever and lengthwise cut it down, scoop it all out, saute the kind of the guts of whatever the vegetables, in this case zucchini, flavor it up or whatnot. Maybe put a little gluten-free breadcrumbs on it, maybe a little cheese or whatever, just to taste it up, and then I put it back in the skin of what I just scooped out, and then just bake it, broil it for a little bit, and it just gives another way to eat it. Just a more flavorful way than just sauteing or boiling it or whatever. So there's so many creative ways to eat clean, but we want to make sure that you understand eating clean doesn't mean you deprive yourself of any food group. It's just making you have a cleaner form of it, and that being clean could mean just even the way you're preparing it. So where a lot of people will use different types of butter, heavy butter or heavy oil, a lot of people actually will take butter and smear it all over their steak and then grill their steak. Well, it does taste good. And I definitely, I've been actually not using butter. I've been using plant-based butter. We're really getting into more plant-based food. And I'm super excited because John had found the name of a company that does these plant-based meals. And with two people, you find, as Italian, it's very difficult to cook for two people. I cannot, I have a real hard time with that. So we'll end up with leftovers. I try to freeze them. And, if you don't eat that leftover within a day, it's going in the trash. Let's be real. And that's a sin in my eyes. So I said, you know what, maybe we'll try it. And because we also find, and a lot of people will find this out, as you age, and yes, everyone can age, you can't stop mother time, but you eat, especially in the evening, your appetite is just not what it used to be. So we are finding now that we're trying to really eat our bigger meal during the day, which works out great for me because I intermittent fast anyways. I don't break fast till, anywhere. If I'm traveling, it's usually between 1 and 2. But if I'm at home, I try not to break fast till about 3 or 4 o'clock. So I'm happy to get that big meal in then. And then, making sure that I have maybe a small snack or something before 7, and then I'm done. So it's better for your digestion when you have that bigger meal during the day, because it gives your body that time to kind of get all that through your whole system just about before you go to bed, and you have a better digestive, restful sleep.
That is true. And speaking of different things, there also needs to be a balance of how you choose your vegetables. So if, for instance, if you are prone to, excuse me, gout attacks, and that's spelled GOUT, any vegetable or poultry or meat that has a lot of purines in it. So for instance, if you're eating a lot of spinach, like spinach, you could wake up in the middle of the night, with a gout attack, and
Right.
it is not pleasant. I've been prone to that, and that's why I've cut way back on certain things. And for instance, if I have a lot of spinach on one day, I have to usually wait a day or two before I can have it again. So it's kind of spacing it out. Like I can, eat spinach all day today and I'm fine. But if I ate some tomorrow, even if it was just one serving, not good. So just be careful, be mindful if you are susceptible to that. So purines are in any type of food. For instance, they're in a lot of green vegetables, in beef. And that's the other reason why I cut way back on beef as well, to kind of balance everything out, and just in little dribs and drabs. So don't overdo it. Be mindful and balance out how you consume your vegetables.
That's true. I mean, you have to listen to your body, because we always talk about this. We look different, we act different, our personalities are different. Well, guess what? Your guts are different too. So you always have to be mindful and listen to your body. You're your best physician, is you, knowing what you can and what you can't do. And I think part of the problem why so many people sometimes have repeated attacks is because they're not listening to their body. Like, for instance, like you're saying, if you are someone that suffers from gout, you may not even realize that something that you're eating is actually causing why you're having the flare up. And it may not be that obvious to you. You may know certain food groups like, oh, that's definitely it. And then all of a sudden there's something else, because I would never associate spinach with gout. I just wouldn't. Just wouldn't even think that in that direction. So it's really important that you do your due diligence to listen to your body and just do some research. Okay, what are the common things? But you got to go dig a little bit deeper. Those people that suffer from Crohn's, there's a whole gamut in the same thing, a whole list of foods that you can't. So if you keep introducing those same foods over and over again, guess what? It's poison to your body. So you have to really listen to your body, knowing what you can. Some people are very fortunate that they can have, little bits of this and little bits of that. That's why the phrase things in moderation, which apply to so many areas of our health and wellness, is not a fad. It never goes out in style. And the reason why it's created is we have to be more mindful of what is good and what is not good. So I always tell people when I'm chatting with customers and whatnot, that think of it as poison. Think of it as deadly for your body, because you're battling the mind that you're craving it and wanting it, versus the gut that says, oh no, baby, don't be putting that crap in my body. Even though it might be healthy, it's not healthy for you. And that's hard to do. It's a hard balance.
It is a hard balance, but in the end, it is so worth it. So think of it this way. If you're constantly consuming something and the next day or a couple hours later, you're suffering from it, but you keep on doing that, it's such a disrespectful way to treat yourself. It really is. And until I realized and grasped that concept, because the first time that I had a gout attack, I knew exactly what it was. And if for anybody that doesn't know what it is, and I'm sure many of you do, it's where the purines in your blood crystallize, and they go to the bottommost part of your body, which is typically your toes, your
Yes.
toe joints. And those crystals are like sharp needles. So imagine waking up in the middle of the night and it literally feels like somebody is stabbing your toe. It's so painful. So as I was kind of going back through my diet, and this happened about a year ago when I had my first gout attack. I've had like 3 and no more, because I have to be very mindful. I went back through the whole week on what I had consumed, and I'm like, oh, because I'm a steak and potato person, was eating a lot of beef, a lot of green vegetables. Now, all green vegetables are not bad. So look it up. If you're starting to have these particular symptoms, and maybe it's not as bad, it's still your body trying to tell you something. So if you're consuming a vegetable, look it up. Just look it up to be sure. So once I started taking that stuff out and was more aware of it, and the second time it happened, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I was, I think we went out, a steak, leftover steak, more steak, and then more steak. Like that was just
overload. It was an overload to your body, and that's your body's. Think of it not only that your body's angry that you're putting poison in it, but it's like, to me, it's sad. It's crying. It's saying, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm gonna slap you silly, or I'm gonna make you pay for it," and your gut will make you pay for it. So why put yourself through that unnecessary trauma? Because it's trauma when your digestive tract is going through trying to get rid of the poison that's in your body. You're putting your gut in a trauma state, which, guess what? Your gut is your second brain. It impacts and it will also impede your other organs, your other functioning systems that are within your body. So you have to start thinking of it. Our bodies are really a fine machine. It's like think of it as, your gut is your computer headboard. It's the guts of your entire systems, because it is. Just like a computer has many different systems, our bodies have many different systems, but the main board, the motherboard, is the gut. It controls all that stuff. So you have to realize and be more in tune to what you're putting in. And I always suggest, which Jan and I always talk about, that we're just pen and paper people. If you're starting to not feel right, keep a diary. You should always keep a diary when you're trying to figure out what is, impeding your digestive tract or what your body's reacting to. And you don't want to necessarily self-diagnose, but it's a great way, when you want to seek that medical advice. Now, here's my journal. I've kind of tracked what I've been eating, because that also is a Bible. Is going to tell a story to your physician, because that might lead him in a totally different direction. So it really is a good idea just to track things if you're suffering from those things, whether it's your gut, whether it's gout, whether it's, because everything most of the time goes back to your gut, what you're actually sticking in well, I should say it goes back to your mouth. What are you putting in your body that's impeding your different systems? So that clean eating is very trendy, but a lot of people, they just have this misconception that eating clean means depriving, like, oh, they're only eating a certain diet, like they're only eating keto or whatever. That's not what eating clean is. Eating clean is eating all your major food groups. First and foremost, quality control from yourself, and quantity control, making sure the quantity of what's on your plate is not piled high. Because you know what? I always tell people, always go small. Don't always go big, always go small. Because really, if your body is going to give your time to your body to react and start to fill up before you go to the second plate. That's really the key piece to eating slow. Because if you're eating slow, you are allowing that time for the food to hit your belly. And you may want to go back up for seconds because you truly are hungry. But 9 out of 10 times, you're really not.
True that. And on that note, Trending Thursday, what's trending in your world? We'd love to hear from you. Good, bad, and different, opposing viewpoints. Bring them on. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, coming from a sunny North Haven, Connecticut. And I'm with
TwoSistas, and this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, live from New England. And I'm super excited because it is a gorgeous day. Finally going to get in that pool day. I'm missing my pool. So this will be a fun day, and hanging out with these grandchildren and just enjoying life and being appreciative and blessed. So much greatness, so much goodness. You guys have a great day. I always tell people on Trending Thursday, you be the trendsetter and let us know how it goes. But you guys have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow for a fantabulous Friday. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.